The Korean War is viewed as a frozen conflict because a peace treaty was never signed and the conflict lives on. A memorial to Korean War veterans on the state capitol grounds honors those who fought and who died. 748 Minnesotans died in the Korean War, which began in June of 1950 and ended in July of 1953. Paul Mandell of the Capital Area Architectural Planning Board joins me here at the Korean Memorial. What was the impetus for this memorial?
Well, after the Vietnam War memorial went in, the Korean War, of course, it was called a conflict, not even a war. They considered themselves the forgotten war. And even though they had a plaque, just like the Vietnam folks had, they said, well, we were forgotten, so can we get a memorial? And at the time, the Korean Memorial in Washington, D.C. had gone in just opposite the Vietnam Memorial. So this site became important sort of as a mirror to the Vietnam Memorial. Of course, they were older. We had two gentlemen that we work with through the main part of the group, and they're known with their blue jackets when they dress up. So we had the entryway. You have the various aspects, and even in the stone, which has now been replicated in the plaque inside the memorial space, you had the important dates of the conflict, as well as all the countries represented that took part in the war.
Yes, because the United States was just one of many that was involved in this conflict, which is ongoing because there was no peace treaty signed.
We have explained to them that, I mean, even as recent as these past few years, when Korea flares up, we've explained to them that if we go back and there's deaths, those names would be added. And even because of that, the fact that the war technically was never ended, they had an armistice, the names here, unlike in Vietnam where they're by date, here they're just scattered among. So all the names are included, but they're not in any particular order. So if you have a name added later on, there's no distinction between that name and the previous names.
Probably the most striking feature of this memorial is the sculpture of the soldier looking at his silhouette. What's being conveyed?
Probably the most important element is his search for his comrades, search for answers. I mean, those of us who grew up with MASH, you know, you see the questions, what is the end point, what is the goal, how do we know if we've succeeded, the fact that it never ended, the fact that it was just an armistice and not even a treaty. He walks towards his silhouette in the obelisk, which is larger than life, and actually it's on line with the Capitol Dome. So he's coming back to Minnesota. It was interesting because the vets studied the mock-up of this, and they were like, no, the belt would not be like that. No, these hand grenades were, you know, in 1952, they were not the hand grenades of the Vietnam War and the fatigues, and right down to the belt buckles and everything else. They studied every detail of this guy, and the sculptor kept, you know, while it was still in clay, kept molding it.
What are some of the unique features of this particular memorial?
Here, just like in the Vietnam Memorial, we have a map of Korea showing the Sea of Japan, the two Koreas, China. A lot of international folks have come here, and we have all the countries represented both in the flooring and now in the plaque that represent all the nations. So all the nations are included, even though this is the Minnesota Memorial. On the sides of the obelisks, we have, at first it was going to be the seals of the different branches of the armed forces, which we figured wouldn't mean anything to anyone except the members of the armed forces. So we have like a tank and a soldier on their feet for the infantry. We have a plane for the Air Force. We have ships for the Navy. So we made it literal representations of the different branches of the armed forces. And then the names, in part, like we have them alphabetical, but like I said, scattered among the letters, so there's no order, there's no first name or last name type, who's first and who's last type thing. And if we added names, it would be very democratic, and you wouldn't know that that was an added name.
The Korean Conflict Memorial was completed in 1998. It's been more than 20 years now since it was placed here. What are you hearing from people that have visited over the years?
Probably it's one of the more reflective and meditative ones. I mean, the Vietnam was, because some of the people had trouble getting up to the wall, this one is so approachable, and it really, they can get into this intimate space. They can sit, they can go off in the lawn area, they can go up and touch the names, but they can also just study the soldier and sit there and study the soldier or his silhouette. when people come to visit the governor's office from foreign countries, this is one of the ones they stop at for some reason. And they come down and they'll often contact the Korean veterans because a lot of their dignitaries, a lot of their people will purposely, they'll have a visiting group from Japan or whatever else, and they'll always come to this memorial because of the country's connection to that conflict.